This is actually a bonus and unplanned episode of Faithful Witness with Terrence Carroll. By the way, I'm Terrence Carroll, your host. I'm an ordained Baptist preacher, lawyer, pastor, theologian, former Speaker of the Colorado House of Representatives, and most importantly for this podcast, I'm an Eagle Scout. This podcast is rooted in the prophetic tradition of the Black church, and each week we explore the moral questions that shape our democracy. And I wanted to get on here outside of my regularly scheduled cadence for posting podcasts because something near and dear to my heart has come up. This is one of my most cherished possessions. This is my Eagle Scout Award. This year marks 39 years since I was awarded and earned the Eagle Scout Award at Shallow Baptist Church in Washington, D.C. My most cherished photo that I have, which is a photo of me and my mother on that date in 1987 when I was awarded my Eagle Scout Award. Again, I will say I earned it through a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And this is one of my favorite pictures because my mother was exceptionally happy on that day, because it's not very often that a young man from the inner city of Washington, D.C. earns the rank of Eagle Scout, the highest award in what was then the Boy Scouts of America, now Scouting America. A small percentage of young men and women ever become Eagle Scouts, and an even smaller percentage, almost imperceptible, it feels like, ever becomes an Eagle Scout. Today, when I saw this video from the Secretary of State, Pete Hegseth, I was incredibly disappointed.
After 2012, however, the Boy Scouts lost their way, and a once great organization became gravely wounded. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, crept in. The name was changed to Scouting America. Girls were accepted. The focus on God as the ruler of the universe was watered down to include openness to humanism and earth-centered pagan religions. Scouting became an organization that no longer supported and celebrated boys. They even welcomed the destructive myth of gender fluidity and transgenderism to infiltrate their membership. Along the way, standards were lowered and merit destroyed in favor of an insidious, radical, woke ideology that is anti-America and anti-American.
In this video, the Secretary says that the Department of Defense is reevaluating its long-standing relationship with Scouting America because Scouting America decided that we were dropping the word Boy Scouts of America and we're now officially Scouting America, that we have young ladies, young women who are involved in scouting, young women are becoming Eagle Scouts, and I think that's a great idea, that we have scouting units, and it's still a hard, trust me, I've been involved in scouts since I was 7 years old, and it's still hard for me to not say Boy Scouts. And I have to say Scouting and Scouting America and the Scouting movement. But he's upset that we have young ladies in scouting units who are in troops and packs and post and other elements of scouting. He says that we've gone DEI, that we've gone woke, and that folks aren't earning a rank of Eagle Scout really because we lowered our standards in order for people to advance in the ranks of scouting, and that our merit badges and the like are too woke and too DEI. One of the great privileges that I have in my life is that I am a member of the board of trustees of my local scouting council, and I have been for several years now. And I also serve as council attorney for my local scouting council. I am very intimately involved in the world of scouting, and I can tell you that scouting has not become DEI. Scouting has not become woke, however the secretary wants to define it. And as far as I'm concerned, it's doublespeak, it's coded language to say that he believes that scouting has too many Black folks, too many brown folks, too many young women who are taking advantage of the scouting program. And that is absolutely ridiculous. In fact, Scouting needs more young women. Scouting needs more young Black folks. Scouting needs more young brown folks. Scouting needs more young Asian folks. Scouting needs more of everything, because I want more kids to experience the scouting program that I experienced when Corrine Dimple Carroll took me to my first pack meeting when I was a young tiger cub at Pack 524 at Shallow Baptist Church at 8th and P Streets in Northwest Washington, D.C. And it's because of scouting that I was exposed to so many things outside of my world, outside of what I saw growing up in Southeast DC. I got to go camping for the first time. I learned that I could spend a week in the backcountry surviving on my own. I got to go to Philmont Scout Ranch in Cimarron, New Mexico, and backpack throughout the backcountry. Things unheard of for a young Black kid growing up in the hood. And if it had not been for scouting, I would have never done those things. And contrary to what the Secretary of Defense is alluding to, no one in scouting ever diminished the requirements or lowered the bar for me to become an Eagle Scout, for me to go through the ranks of Tiger Cub and Bobcat, and to be a Weeblo, and to be a Tenderfoot, and to be a second class scout, then a first class scout, then a star scout, then a life scout, and then eventually become an Eagle Scout. Nothing was lowered for me. I still had to earn the same number of merit badges as a kid who was growing up in Silver Spring, Maryland, and was part of a more affluent troop. I had to earn the same number of merit badges as a kid going through the scouting program in Springfield, Virginia. There was nothing lowered for me to be a scout. I'm offended that the secretary would assume that kids like me had to have special treatment in order for us to become successful in the scouting program. I'm further offended because it's clear that the secretary does not understand scouting. Scouting is not intended to preach an ideology that the Secretary of Defense finds appropriate, that aligns with his narrow worldview of who is American, of who is someone that's entitled to be part of the scouting program. In fact, the beauty of the scouting program is that it brings kids from all over the country. And if you look at the international scouting program, it brings kids from all over the world from different backgrounds to learn from each other. The thing that brings us all together is that we want to improve ourselves by building our character. And the way that we build our character are through all the activities and all the new experiences and meeting all the new people that we meet through the scouting program. We get to understand that no matter what your skin color, that no matter what your religion is, no matter what your social economic background is, that we can all work together to achieve similar goals. That's the beauty of scouting, that through building character, we learn that we all can work together, that we all share this earth together, and we should work toward a common goal of improving the world that we live in together. So the secretary decided that he wants to get rid of scouting programs within the Department of Defense unless we yield to his anti-DEI, anti-woke agenda, which is really a furtherance of his view of the world because of the white Christian nationalism that he learns and is learning at the feet of Doug Wilson at his church in Moscow, Idaho. A world that says that a woman's only purpose is really to be a baby incubator, to produce more babies. A world where Doug Wilson and others like him say that young Black men when we commit crimes should be treated under the rules of the Old Testament, and we should be stoned to death, and our lives should be taken. Or as Joel Webbin recently said, in fact, just said yesterday on the Nick Fuentes show, that Black folks and Jewish folks really aren't that good.
All Black people are impulsive, lazy. I could list some particular sins. And again, in general, of course there are exceptions. I'm not thinking of Thomas Sowell, not thinking of Clarence Thomas. And I think I could also, to go one step further, say all Jews are subversive. And, there would, of course, be some exceptions there as well.
And so when the Secretary of Defense says what he said in his video, he's really in a polite but yet very clear way saying that the scouting program was much better back in the days when Norman Rockwell produced his great paintings of scouts and people involved in scouting activities, that scouting was best when it was white. But I will tell you that in all my years of being involved in scouting, and I'm 57 years old now, and I've been continuously involved in scouting in one shape, fashion, or form since I was 7 years old. That's 50 years of scouting. I can tell you that the scouting program is strong because of its diversity. And each year that we become more diverse in the scouting program, scouting becomes stronger. But the Secretary wants us to really be a mini arm of whatever his notion of patriotism is. He wants us to have merit badges that he approves, and he wants us to be clearly Christian and not have folks who are non-Christian involved in scouting. That's really what he's saying. And I reject that. And I hope that my fellow scouters reject this as well. And one of the underlying reasonings for this is that this administration wants to form our nation and our democracy into this very narrow understanding of what it means to be American. In fact, even though they say they want us to be a democracy, not really, do they? They want this to be a country that reflects one narrow worldview. They don't want an America that's pluralistic. They don't want an America that's multicultural. And the scouting program does not fit neatly into their agenda, because the scouting program essentially says that we want all your kids to join scouting, to be involved in scouting, because through scouting, our children and our families experience the melting pot that is America. That we can have scouting units where there are Black kids and brown kids and white kids all working together toward a common goal. Scouting units where our kids learn that your gender doesn't matter, that your race doesn't matter, that your background doesn't matter, that who you choose to love doesn't matter, that your religion doesn't matter. But the only thing that matters is, are you a good person? Are you a person of strong character? Are you a person that believes a scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, thrifty, cheerful, brave, clean, and reverent? We don't ask what God you worship. We don't ask where your family comes from. We don't ask about who you love. We don't ask any of those things. We just want you to say, on your honor, you promise to do your best. That's all. And if the Secretary doesn't like that, that's his problem. It's not our problem. If the Secretary doesn't believe in a multicultural and pluralistic America, the rest of us still need to believe in it. And we need to reject the words that come from his mouth, because those words don't reflect a true America. The noble and sacred words of our Constitution and Declaration of Independence hold over our heads as the goal that we must strive toward as a great American society in this great democratic experiment. And those of us who want to participate in making those words real also reject what the Secretary of Defense said in that video. We embrace an America that is diverse. We embrace an America that's multicultural. We embrace an America that is pluralistic. And if you believe in those things, I ask you to join me in rejecting the sentiment that we see and we hear in the video from the Secretary of Defense. Thanks for joining me on this bonus episode. And remember to tell the truth, seek justice, and love the people. This is Faithful Witness.